Good morning, students. Now, today we will be doing the first chapter of your 10th history book, that is the rise of nationalism in Europe. Okay, now let us first understand the meaning of the chapter. So, here it is written as nationalism in Europe. So, what is nationalism? See, it is all about thinking about a country. Suppose in a country like India, we have so many peoples of different religions like Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christians, okay, Parsis, Jain community. There are a lot of people. So if we will just point out at each other and we'll fight that this should be the national language of India, or we'll be fighting on some other matters like temples or mosque for worships. So all these things create distances between us. So this is how you cannot make a nation, a country. For being nationalism, you will have to think as one, you will have to become as one in your action, in your thoughts, in your senses. Okay, so we should first think that we are Indian, then we are of another community, whatever it may be, Hindu, Muslim, doesn't matter. The first thing we should remember that we are Indians. So that what makes a nation, the feeling of oneness among the peoples. Okay, so we'll be starting this chapter with the discussion of a picture drawn by, oh sorry, this is a painting, so it is painted by Mr. Frederick Soroyo in 1848. Okay, so we'll be starting by this. Now look at this painting here. So you can see here that there are many peoples, all the women's, men's, children's, and they all are marching, and these are the different flags of different countries. Okay, now this is the flag of the France. So what is here, they are showing that it was just like a dream. It is not actually existing at that time, but it was just like a dream. And the name of the painting, the dream was of worldwide democratic and social republic. So what is democratic? Democracy means any country which believes in a democratic rules, like the where the democratic and republic. Also democratic means where the democracy will be there and every control will be done by the all, or you can say that all the resources will be used by the actions of the government for the welfare of the people. And here if we'll talk about republic, so that government will be selected by the people. So here the painting was about that. So most of the monarchical rule was there at time, and there was no stable kind of thing at that time between the nations. Either some rulers were ruling over there, so that was the another problem. Now they are all marching here towards the liberty. Okay, now here you can see the statues is there. Okay, so this is Statue of Liberty here. Now we'll be discussing about it. Okay, so in 1848, Frederic Soroyo, a French artist, prepared a series of four prints visualizing his dream of a world map made up of democratic social republic, as he called them. So he called it the democratic and the social republics. Okay, where the everything will be controlled by the government and the people are going to select the government. So that was the thinking at that time, that democracy should be there, republic should be there. Okay, now here this is the first print in figure 1 which you have just seen of the series, show the people of Europe and America. So here the peoples of Europe and Americas were shown in the picture. Now men and women of all ages and the social classes marching in the long run and offering homage to the Statue of Liberty as they pass by. So when the people are crossing the Statue of Liberty, they are just showing that homage, that we have reached our home, we have reached our destiny, which is destiny is nothing but the independence or liberty which they wanted. So it is just a kind of imaginary painting which was drawn. This print was just an imaginary basis. Okay. Now, as you would recall, artists of that time of French Revolution personifies liberty as a female figure. So here, this liberty is denoted as a female figure. Female figure means this here, Statue of Liberty is there. So this is a female figure. So what does it show? That freeness or liberty, that we are not longer any in any control of any monarchical system. As you would recall, the artist of the French will personified this liberty as a female figure. Here you can recognize the torch of enlightenment. She bear in one hand the charter of the right of the man in the other. So enlightenment means that the this will just create the idea of this nationalism in the mind of the Europe, because in Europe so many different languages were there in different places, and they were all being ruled by some of the monarchical system. So all these things were to be eradicated or finished, and there should be a feeling of democracy or republic in every country. This is what the thinking of this painter Frederick Soreille at that time. So he was just simply drawing this painting by keeping all these things in his mind. Now that liberty, the Statue of Liberty, it was just having one charter of rights of the man. So charter means the charter means the powers of the right. Rights means those facilities or those things which will be provided to the people. So it will be followed later on. So here the one in one hand the enlightenment torch was there. Enlightenment means the people's mind should be enlightened for towards the liberty, and the other thing was the charter of the rights of the men, means the power. Charter means the power of the peoples, which should be given to the peoples. Now on the earth, in the foreground of the image, the shatter remained of the absolute institution. So what does this word mean here? Absolutes, it means monarchical system. So here you can see in this painting that there are the remains here. So all this monarchy, like you can see the crowns and this small pieces which were scattered on the ground, these are just the monarchy system, which are just broken down into pieces by the power of the people. Now here in Soreille's utopian vision, utopian, what this utopian means, a society which is so unrealistic that it is unlikely to be exist. So as I told you that this is just an imaginary painting. So vision of the peoples of the world are grouped as distinct nations, okay, identified through their flags and national costume. So here the different countries people were there having the flags and their costume of their countries. Leading the procession way past the Statue of Liberty at the United States in Switzerland, which by this time already nation state. So at this time when the painting was made, the already the United States and Switzerland were achieved liberty. Now the France has just arrived. Yes, you can see the flag of the France here. So France has just arrived, identifiable by the revolutionary tricolor, has just reached the statue. She is followed by the people of Germany bearing the black, red, and the gold flag. So whereas Germany here, the people of the Germany is here. So they are following this black, red, and golden flag. And who are these? These are the Germans. Okay, Germany. Now, interestingly, at that time when Soryu created this image, so when this guy was painting, the German, when this image was drawn, the German people did not exist as a united nation. So at that time, Germany was not a united nation. Okay, the flag they carry is an expression of liberal hopes in 1848 to unify the numerous German-speaking principalities into nation state under a democratic constitution. Now here at that time the Germany did not exist here. So it was just like a liberal hope in 1948 to unify all these German different areas of the German speaking peoples into a nation state. So they should just combine together and they should make a one nation state, and they should be called themselves as Germany. Following the German peoples are the people of Australia, Kingdom of Two Sicilies, Lombardy, Poland, England, Ireland, Hungary, and Russia. So after Germany, all these countries are following them. Like it is like a train, a big rally which is followed, and they are marching towards the liberty or independence. Now from the heavens above, the Christ, saint, and angels gaze upon the scene. Okay. Now here from the top, you can see that the angels are gazing. Angels are there who are gazing, and Jesus is also there who is looking. So every god is looking upon the people, and fraternite word is used over here. So fraternity means brotherhood. Okay, So there is just like, it is just like blessing is given by all the gods so that they can achieve their liberty. Now they have been used to artists to symbolize to fraternity among the nation of the world. So similarly, what is fraternity here? Means brotherhood. The feeling of brotherhood is very important. When that will come, then only the people will unite to make a nation state. Then only you can make a country. If you are standing in different places and you are not, your thinking is not in one direction, then definitely you cannot make a nation. That nationalism feeling will not be inside you. So for that nationalism, it is very important for all these people to combine together and make a one unit. Now this chapter will deal with many issues visualized by Soroyu in figure 1. During the 19th century, nationalism emerged as a force which brought about sweeping changes in the political and mental world of the Europe. Now here we can say that when these changes were happening, all this revolution were happening in the France, so it has led to the changes in the Europe also, because entire Europe was also affected because of French Revolution. So we can say here that the actual seed which was sown for this thinking of liberty and all democracy was done somewhere in the past in French, during the French Revolution. Then only that spark came out, and different nations were formed after that. So this French Revolution was having a very strong impact on the mind of the Europeans. Now the end result of these changes was the emergence of the nation state in place of a multinational dynastic empire of the Europe. So instead of this monarchical rule, what the people were demanding, they wanted a nation state. So this was the end result which they wanted. Now the concept and practice of the modern state, in which the centralized power exercise sovereign control over a clearly defined territory, had been developing over a long period of time in Europe. Now what is happening over here? There was a centralized power and control over a definite. So at that time, only this monarchy used to rule, and they were having a definite territory of their own. So within that particular area, these people used to rule, and all the decisions will be made by them. Now, but a nation state was one in which the majority of citizens, are not only its ruler, came to develop a sense of common identity. Okay, so here they are talking about the citizens, and it's not only its ruler came to develop a sense of common identity and shared the history of descent. Means when the all the peoples of a country and also its ruler, when they start thinking in one direction, so what happens because of this? There will be a sense of commonness, that we belong to one country. Like we also got independence 1947. So what we have done? So there were citizens. So at that time, there were some people who were our leaders like Mahatma Gandhi. So we all were thinking in one direction, that we are Indians and now we want independence. So we were fighting for that thing. Okay, so same thing was there. So they will have to think in one common directions, and their identity and the history should be same. And this, it should, or descent means descent belonging to the one culture or one nation. This commonness did not exist from the time morally, it was forced through struggle through the action of the leader and the common people. This chapter will look at the diverse processes through which nation state and nationalism came into being in the 19th century in Europe. So here they are going to throw some light on the that how this feeling of nationalism increased in the Europe, because all this happened because there was some actions from the side of the people, and also there were leaders at that time. So all these different actions which have been taken, that thing created the unity between the people. That fraternity led them to develop the nation states. Now the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. The first clear expression of the nationalism come from the French Revolution in 1789. So it has started, all these things started in 1789 when this French Revolution happened. So France, as you would remember in the ninth class, you already went through this chapter. Okay, as you would remember, was full-fledged territorial state in the 1789. under the rule of the absolute monarchy. So in the France, what was the system? There was monarchy system. It was ruled by the king. Now here at that time the political and the constitution that came in the wake of French Revolution led to the transfer of sovereignty from the monarchy to the body of French citizen. So what happened at that time? This the power from has been transferred from the this monarchy to the body of French citizens. So they have taken that power in their hand. So now monarchy system was gone and the entire power came in the hand of the people. Now the revolution proclaimed that it was the people who would henceforth constitute the nation and shape its destiny. So here they confirmed that now it should be in the hands of the people and they will be making it right, everything, and they will shape the destiny of the country. Now, from the very beginning, the French Revolution introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity among the French people. So here, in the beginning, all these revolutionaries, the French revolutionaries, they introduced the various measures. There were some special techniques which they used and practices which they used to follow. There were some things which they used to follow at that time, and all that thing created that collective identity, that common thinking of the people, of the who were what kind of people, the French people. So there were ideas. So let us learn about what were the ideas which created the collective thinking idea between these people. So here the idea of la patrie, the fatherland, and la citoyen, the citizen, emphasize the notion of the untitled community enjoying equal rights under the constitutions. So what they used to do, like just like in India we called the motherland Bharat Mata, so here there they used to call as fatherland, la patria, the fatherland, and the la citoyen means the citizens. So it was just we will they will be describing any kind of citizen by telling that the citizen. So they will be calling them themselves the citizens of France. Okay. So they just emphasized on these notions of the united communities enjoying equal rights under a constitution. So they all made a constitution and everybody will be equal according to it. Everybody will be equal and nobody will be having a special privilege. As you already recall from, you can recall from this in last year you must have studied the French revolutions. What was the condition over there? There were three states, no? Okay, so in the nobles, this clergy, they used to enjoy a lot of privileges, and the peasant used to pay their taxes. So that was the condition. So all the power now came into the people's hand. Now they wanted to treat everybody as equal. Now a new French flag, the tricolor, was chosen to replace the former royal standard flag. Now this the flag of the king was replaced and a new tricolor flag was made. It was chosen and replaced that flag. Now the Estate General was elected by the body of active citizens and renamed the National Assembly. So those active citizens who got the right to vote, what they did, they selected the Estate General. Before there were three estates, so now they selected one person according to it, and they named this estate as the National Assembly. Then they changed the name. New hymns were composed, oaths were taken. Okay, now new songs and oaths were taken at that time, and martyrs who died in this all this process, there were songs made for them. So just like in India also, we are having some songs, like we are having our national song also. So we remember all this, and whenever we sing the national anthem, what happens that then at that point of time we do not think that to what religion we belong. We just think in one single way that we belong to India. We all belong to India. So that at that particular time when we sing national anthem, what happens? The feeling of brotherhood or fraternity comes inside us. So that is what they have done. They have made this all this kind of songs and hymns. So in order to create that common identity feeling among the peoples, so that it can unite the peoples in that in the France. Now all in the names of the nations. Okay, so everything what they are doing over here, they are simply doing it for their nation. Now a centralized administrative system was put in place, and it formulated uniform laws for all the citizens within its territory. Now there was a centralized systems administrative system. Now administration now will not be happening according to the monarchy, because there are no kings. All the power has been received by the citizens here. So now they are having the power, so they will be making just a uniform law which will be equal for everyone. Doesn't matter whoever you are, you will be treated equally in front of law. So they made some laws for it within that territory. Whoever is residing, it will be imposed on that particular person. Now internal customer duties were abolished. Now what happened, the custom duties like taxes and all were also abolished. Now there will be no taxes, and a uniform system of weight and measures was adopted. So now taxes and duties nobody will be paying, and the system of weight and measures was adopted. Means if you move to the different parts, there was different system of taxes. Everywhere the rate of taxes were different, weight and measure system was different. So it was changed and it was made one common system for each and everyone. So this thing united them. Now here, after this, the regional dialect were discouraged, and French was spoken and written in Paris, became the common language of the nation. So here the regional dialect, because there were different types of languages which have been spoken in the France. So as the French language was spoken and written in Paris, so they decided to make it a national language of the nation, or common language of the nation. The revolutionary further declared that it was the mission and the destiny of the French nation to liberate the peoples of Europe from despotism, in other words, to help other people of Europe to become the nation. Now, when this French got free from this monarchy system, now what is the thinking of this French peoples, that they are going to spread all this thing to the other parts of the Europe, and they will they who are under the some system like this, which are controlled by some other monarchical system. So now we'll make the other countries of the Europe also free. So now they wanted to spread this idea all over. What idea? The idea of nationalism they are going to spread, so that the other countries will also liberate. And that was the same thinking of that print which was prepared by Frederick Sorio in 1848. So as you can see that thing, that many peoples were having a big rally, and different flags of the different countries. So where they were going towards the liberty, means they were about to get independence in that picture. So the same thing they wanted to just spread this idea of nationalism or feeling of nationalism to the other parts of the Europe. And this French people of France, they are going to help the other European countries. Now, when the news of the event in the French reached the different cities of Europe, student other member of the educated middle class began setting up Jacobean club. The activities and campaign prepared the way of the French army moved into the Holland. Now, what happened over there when this national assembly was formed by the people? So later on what happened, the national assembly was been replaced by this Jacobean club, which was led by Maximilian Robespierre. Okay, so after that, when he replaced national assembly, then after that, what happened after Jacobean, if you recall it, that directory was made, and after that who came, this Napoleon came to rule. Okay, who was just a kind of dictator, he was controlling everything. So here when they are saying that they prepared the way for the French armies which moved into Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, so at that time the Napoleon already entered this thing. Okay, so it everything now went into the control of the Napoleon, because Napoleon is destroyed democracy completely, which was established. So again now, again the it was like again the dictatorship of Napoleon has come by eradicating all this democracy. So they prepared the French army move into Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, and much of the Italy in 1790s. With the outbreak of the Revolutionary Wars, the French army began to carry the idea of nationalism abroad. So now this French army was going everywhere, like to Belgium, Switzerland, and Italy. And they what they were doing over there, they were simply carrying the idea of nationalism abroad, and they were just liberating the others as well. So all this other parts of Europe, they were also happy because of this. They were just treating themselves that they are going to come, this French army is going to come, and someday we'll be getting freedom or liberty. So they were actually happy. Now, within the wide swath of the territory that come under his control means Napoleon. Okay, his means Napoleon here. So Napoleon set about introducing many reforms that he had already introduced in the France. So when this Napoleon was controlling the France, so already some set or reforms were being introduced over that, which the entire administration will be governed according to that particular system. So here, through a return of the monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in the France. No, it was like that when Napoleon comes again, it was like monarchy system. So Napoleon had no doubt destroying the democracy in the France. So we agree with this point that the Napoleon, what Napoleon did, he destroyed the democracy. But in the administrative field, he had incorporated the revolutionary principle in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. So in spite he was just a monarchy, he brought back the monarch system by destroying this democracy. But still, Napoleon is still been remembered because he did some good thing like the civil Napoleonic Code of 1804, which he introduced, which brought revolutionary changes. Okay, and he made the system entire system of this administration efficient and rational. The Civil Code of 1804. So sometimes the straight away question comes from this. What do you mean by the Civil Code of 1804? Okay. So usually it is also called as the Napoleonic Code. Here, this is Napoleonic Code or Civil Code of 1804. So question can be from here. Now this Napoleonic Code did away with all the privileges from the birth. Now what was the first thing they are describing here? That the those system, like in the first and second state, this clergy, the nobles, they were enjoying all the rights from the birth. When they will be born in some noble family, they will be getting rights. They are not going to pay any kind of taxes. This was the system. So all things were abolished by him. Okay. Now after this, he established equality before the law. Equality before the law means each and everyone will be treated equally. It doesn't matter whoever you are. So law will be equal for all. So the first thing is that equality before law. Now and secured the right to property. The second one is here. What is the second one? The right to property was provided. It means if you are having some property with you, so nobody is going to take away that property. Only if the government, like it is in India also it is like that. If only if government wants to take your property, they can take. If they want to do some kind of project like railways or some other system like hospitals, so they can use that land and they can ask that thing from you. Otherwise nobody will be having the right to take away your property from your hand. So whatever you are owing, it will belong to you. So that was been provided by Napoleonic reforms. Now this code was exported to the regions under the French control. In the Dutch Republic, in the Switzerland, in Italy and Germany, all this was there now. So in the French control, in the Dutch Republic, in Switzerland, Italy and Germany. So this code was just like exported to this all these parts. Now Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system. So what this the third thing is that he abolished the feudal system. So all this, what is feudal system? Feudal, like, see, there was the case in the France, like this lower section will be working for the upper section. They will have to do it just like a favor or just like a duty, that they will have to serve the people of the upper sections, and lower sections will be working for them. So this was the condition. So he abolished that feudal system. Then the next is freed peasant. Peasant means farmers from serfdom. So the farmer also used to do work for the landlords and all. So all this will be freed. Now they will not longer be called or forced to work for under someone. So these farmers were also free, and they were just freed means they can do their own work. There is no need to work under somebody's influence or control. And the manual dues, some money was also taken by them. So all those things were also abolished by Napoleonic code. The fifth one, in the towns, two guilt restrictions were removed. Now, in the towns, what was the condition? If suppose if you want to trade something, so everywhere there was a different type of charges were being charged by from the people. It was just like a similar tax kind of thing. So now these taxes will not be paid. This guilt restrictions were removed from there. So it was now very good for the business opportunity that every businessman can do, any kind of trade can happen over there, because this guild restrictions was been taken away by this Napoleonic code, and now the people were free to move freely from one place to another. Also, the transportation and communication system, the last one is here, the transportation and communication was improved by this Napoleonic code, so that it will be very easy for the people, because when transportation and communication system improves, automatically the trading in the area will also increase, it will become more efficient. Okay, now peasant artisan workers and the new businessmen, they were very happy. And why they were happy? Because they were enjoying of new freedom. They were happy about this, because all these changes were being made in the Napoleonic code, so they were happy because of this. Now the businessman, small scale producer of goods in a particular, began to realize that uniform laws, standardized weight and measures, and a common currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. Now they were happy that these all these businessmen and small scale producer, they can because of this uniform laws were made, and the guilt restriction was removed. Common weight and measure act system has been made, and also the currency was reduced, because before that there were many currency which were used in the Europe. Now what is the condition over here? Now a single currency will be made, and they will be trading considering that particular currency for any kind of trade. Now, however, in the areas conquered areas means Napoleon. They are talking here about Napoleon. Whatever the areas he conquered, he reactions of the local population to French rule were mixed. Initially, in many places such as Holland, Switzerland, as well as in certain cities like Brussels, Mainz, Milan, and Warsaw, the French armies were welcomed as the harbingers of liberty. So, what is here when this Napoleon was leading this French armies to all these different places like Holland, Switzerland, Mainz, Milan, Warsaw. So, what happened in the beginning? Everybody was happy with this French rule, Napoleonic code, and all. So, they welcomed them. Okay, so they welcomed them, they called them that harbingers of liberty, that they are simply coming to them to liberate them. So they were all happy that they will be getting independence. So all let them come. They were inviting them that yes, of course, because of them we will be getting independence. So this was the thinking at that time of the people. Now again here this line is written over here, the reactions of the local population of the French rule was mixed. Means here if suppose you are Napoleon and you conquered this area of France, and now you're moving into other territories, other parts. So what will be the thinking, because you're actually ruling in the France, so it is just like your hometown. So you're always going to think good about that. But if you're entering to some far, definitely you liberate them. But what will happen, your thinking will not be like that. You'll be just treating them like a colonial rule, just like the British treated us. So this Napoleon also started treating the peoples like forcefully. There were different types of restriction on them. Nobody was allowed to print or say anything against him. So all these things made people unhappy later on. So we are going to read exactly that now. Okay, now but here the initial enthusiasm soon turned into hostility. Now what happens? All this enthusiasm turned into hostile. Now people are becoming hostile about this thing, as it became clear that the new administration changes did not go hand in hand with the political freedom. Now this Napoleonic code were well introduced in the France, but in the other part it was not the condition. They were not feeling, the other parts were not feeling free, and the same administration is not going on in their area as it was done in the France. So here the problem was the taxes were increased. So in the other part, what this Napoleon has done, that he increased the taxes on the people, and there was this censorship, means anybody, doesn't matter whoever it is, but he cannot say anything against Napoleon. So it was censored that you cannot say anything or write anything against this Napoleon. And the forced conscription into French army required to conquer the rest of the Europe. Now what this Napoleon was doing, he was forcing the people to join the French army. And why he was forcing the people to join the French army? Because he wanted to conquer means control the entire rest of the parts of the Europe. So that's why he actually wanted to increase the size of the army so that he can easily control the other parts. So thank you. We'll be continuing in the next lecture.